now have the pleasure of announcing our speaker for today, Reverend Larry Jennings. He's a minister with the Fellowship of the Inner Light. He has been in the funeral business for many years, working as a manager with Altmeyer Funeral Homes. He's recently so-called retired, but he still gets called in to help a lot and to be a consultant. Larry has blessed this church for many, many years. He's served on our board of directors in the past. He's currently active on our pastoral council. And we just find it such a joy to be with Larry. He inspires us, he comforts us, and his wit and wisdom are just awesome. And he has a Mickey Mouse mask, which is cute. And so he's going to talk today about how to deal with these times we live in, the stresses. And many folks have been especially challenged in the last couple of years, and he's going to help us find ways to deal with that in these interesting times. So let's give him a warm fellowship welcome.
And thank all of you. We are going to, as Susan said, talk about that. You're going to hear me repeat a word many times today about being in the present moment. And I think that's a huge key for each of us in dealing with all the things we have going on in this world today. But good morning. And I couldn't be happier to be here with you today, especially after just finishing my second bout with COVID. I know now I've got super antibodies. Between 2 rounds of that and all the shots and boosters, it was very minor this time, and we did very well with it. In giving thanks, I am fine. And of course, a new year lies before us. And being a new year, it always brings us to a point of reflection when we look back at where we've been, and it also gives us a time to look forward. I, like most of us, have spent this time of year looking back and giving thought to what I've experienced and what I've learned. This year has certainly had its challenges, and to be truthful, I'm very happy to be moving forward. All of us have had our challenges, and each of us has examined our thoughts about this past year. Looking back, perhaps we could have done things differently. But then we would have missed the opportunities for growth. Some of us may have even embraced a New Year's resolution, seeing something in our life that we feel we want to change this year. Looking back at 2021 and moving forward into 2022, I simply want to let go of the past and focus on being present. That does not mean that I've pushed away all of the gifts that I've been given from my past, for these gifts are many. Among these gifts were difficult times that gave me a chance to grow and an opportunity to embrace change. For that, I am forever grateful. This year has brought about many changes in all our lives, as we know, from COVID to social unrest, and a heightened awareness of the need for acceptance of our differences. This coming year, I have decided to spend more time outdoors, taking long walks and experiencing Mother Earth, and allowing myself to be still, to be present, and to listen to what she tells me. Looking at my past, I can remember not so long ago when I first met my animal spirit, the Panther, in a meditation. I met her as we were meditating, and she stepped out of a tree line and walked into the meadow that we now shared. I immediately knew that she was female, and I could feel her feminine energy. The thought entered my mind that this would bring balance to our relationship. She continued to walk forward towards me, and her eyes were fixed on me. I could feel those eyes upon me, and I knew she was looking directly inside of me and touching my soul. She kept walking to me, then she stopped and she stood at my side. I could hear her speaking to me, telling me that she's always been with me, gently guiding my spirit to a place of understanding and of my relationship with Mother Earth. We then walked through the meadow, and at the edge of the meadow, I entered into a dark cave together, coming to a pool of water where she disappeared. But I heard her voice calling and telling me to look at my reflection. I paused, and I could feel her unconditional love for me. And I bent over to see my reflection. I saw myself, and then I watched as my face became that of the panther. She never told me her name, and we often meet when our thoughts come together. Sometimes we speak, and other times we simply enjoy each other's company. In these moments, I always feel blessed to know this part of myself and to have this special connection. Just recently, about a week ago, I had a dream that she was standing on a pathway next to a river, quietly watching the water flow by. I was standing further down the river, just a short distance away, and was watching some fish swim in a pool of water. She was magnificent. Her coat shone in the sun, and it brought me to a place of peace and a place of contentment. She looked at me, and as I listened, she spoke about the many kingdoms in our world, the animals, the elementals, the angel kingdom, and the kingdom of man, and how we were connected, and how each of us, even through our differences, live in harmony. I could feel her love for me, and she told me to watch the flow of the river as it passed us. We watched together, and I felt our connection. I could feel the water's energy and the energy of the fish swimming in the pool, bringing us all together in the oneness of life. Then I woke up, and I can remember saying, no, I want to go back, and I really tried to get back into the dream, but it was not to be. I eventually fell asleep and woke up in the morning feeling refreshed. And I can still remember this dream vividly. And I could sense that that panther was still with me. It was real, and I had a knowing of that. And I could sense that the river, like I, was moving forward. I can still feel the oneness I shared with my companion and of all of nature by simply being present in the moment. Our Sunday service each week gives us several opportunities to experience being in that present moment and allowing us to shake off our stresses and shake off our fears. Having this experience here can help us with the challenges we have experienced this past year. For example, today we will close our circle and we will sing "We Are One," followed by the Om chant. The words, "Every step I take, you're here. Every breath I breathe, we share," is followed by the Om chant, which is regarded as the first sound heard during the creation of the world. This sound resonates within us and brings us to a place of peace. At this moment, we are truly experiencing being present in the oneness of the universe. When we leave the circle, I always feel empowered to face the coming week with the love that I have felt simply by being present in that moment, and also with feeling the oneness with each of you. I take this energy with me, and when I leave, it touches every person that I meet. Let me share with you now some words from Paul Solomon when he envisioned what our fellowship was to be. This was done on May 17th, 1991, and he was asked, "What is the fellowship of the inner light?" He said, Understand first and foremost, it is a family. It is an extended family of those who share recognition of God as living love. It is a worship center that is interfaith and non-denominational. It is a gathering place for those who would learn, study, live, and practice living love and ageless wisdom. It is a school and it is a church, but it is an alternative kind of church, not bound by doctrine or dogma, apart from your credo, which is not disenfranchised the many of different faiths who come together to worship here in love and understanding. The fellowship of the inner light is all of this. But because the word church is often associated with organized religion, we have chosen the word fellowship. Thus, he says, you are a fellowship committed to the source of all and to living love. Let it ever be said about you, see how they love one another. Beautiful words, this beautiful place that we share together. It made me reflect after reading this on how I was drawn to the fellowship. My brother attended here many years ago, and when I first moved here from New York, he encouraged me to attend a service here and experience what other offers, and I did. I found a place of acceptance and a place where I felt true, unconditional love with a group of people that I had never met. My only previous experience with a fellowship was listening to a tape of the Seven Terrace meditation with my brother one evening at his home. It was magical. I remember wondering why this door had opened for me, never guessing the impact that our fellowship would have on me. Soon I was attending services here, and I found myself becoming immersed in this special place. I gained a better understanding of myself by simply learning to be present in the moment and allowing myself to listen to our speakers and our pastors, absorbing their messages like a sponge. I began to learn, and I was better able to understand the things I had experienced since childhood. And I found a place where I could share them and feel accepted. After all, where else could I find a place and share a story with you that you would understand? This story is about sitting under the shade of a tree and understanding in that moment that the tree was not only alive, but also had a soul. I recall as a young man being aware of a voice inside of me telling me what the tree was saying and listening to its stories. It talked of seasons and how a squirrel had carried a pine cone and buried it, preparing itself for the coming of winter. Perhaps not by chance, the pine cone was forgotten, and the seed grew into the tree that I was sitting beneath. The tree's soul went on to tell me that the squirrel's ancestors still return here and find shelter and food. And I, the tree, continue to flourish with them in the oneness of nature. What a beautiful world we're in. In that moment, I understood that by being in the moment and staying present, that I had the key to understanding within me. By simply quieting myself and pushing my thoughts aside, I had the ability to speak directly to the source. My experiences have continued, and I continue to grow. Coming here, I believe, was the final piece of my puzzle. I became involved in this church, first becoming elected to the board of directors, serving for several years, contributing as treasurer, serving as 2 years as your board president. In 2005, after a seminary program, I was ordained. and I'm still serving this wonderful and unique church. It is here I found a home and friends who have become my family. Looking around this room today, each and every one of you are my family. And understand that each of us are connected to one another by bands of energy that flow between us, connecting our every conscious thought and our every unconscious thought. If I quiet myself, I can see this magnificent display of light as this energy travels between us. Right now, as I'm looking around this room, I'm going to focus on Dick. Because as I'm speaking, Dick, I can see my thoughts and feelings converted into light going to you. It enters your body through your chakras. I see some yellows, I see some greens, I see white. I see the most beautiful violet light passing between us. And as they enter your chakras, I can also see these bands of energies as they return to me. This is something that happens with all of us, something that happens in that oneness when we stay in that present moment. And in that point, we can find the peace and contentment that life brings us. Ooh, I gotta take a minute. Thank goodness I can control usually when this happens to me. It doesn't always happen. It usually happens when I'm meditating and I'm focused on being present and in that moment. I think I can see this interaction with Dick today because when I speak, I'm in a space of being in the moment rather than thinking of the past, rather than thinking of the future, not all these thoughts going into my head because I'm focused on speaking to my family. Each of us are connected in ways we can't see and understand. Being aware of this connection is the first step towards opening yourselves to many possibilities. The next step is found through our experiences. A great example is last Sunday. We had our annual ritual blessing the altar in our sanctuary. Fortunately, or unfortunately, I was home recovering from that second bout of COVID. It was past then. I wasn't that sick. And I was really doing the isolation thing. So I couldn't be here to experience this beautiful service with you. But the readings and the replacing of all the altar's elements, the cross, the flowers, the incense, the Bible, this is something that I've always treasured. Before becoming a pastor, I can clearly remember my first time participating, and it was indeed special. As I approached the altar, I could feel the loving energy it was producing. And as I stood before it and then walked around the sanctuary with my palms in front of me, I could not only feel the altar's energy, but my own as they commingled together. In this moment, I experienced and understood what was meant by the words, a living altar. Like the tree, it has its own soul, as this entire building does. Having this experience took me from being aware of our oneness to experiencing the oneness with the altar and the building that we call the Fellowship Center. This moment in time also awakened a connection to this fellowship within me that still burns strongly. I, like my Panther, am usually very content simply watching and observing. This was a major event for me. Having this experience was priceless. For this experience brought me from a place of to a place of acceptance, knowing without reservation and accepting my experience to be real, to push away any doubts and simply believe. Paul Solomon has told us that we have met unrecognized masters in this lifetime. There have been spirit guides who came to teach, but you never realized them, he said. He further explained that if you recognized them, they would have failed their mission. Think about that. As we all know, we have spirit guides that are constantly working with us in ways that we'll never know and understand. We have each had masters come into our lives, and they and the guides quietly lead us to find that which resides within. Paul further said, "He himself dwells in your heart. It is here you will find him." He also explains that when the full realization of who you truly are and the realization that you hold all the knowledge in your heart, you will know that thou art he. 2022, what will this year bring? I hope for each of you it brings you closer to understanding your true self, that thou art he. I share my stories with you because my story is yours. Understand that we are truly one, and it is my hope that my experience awakens within you an understanding that the voice of the source may be heard by each of you. And I hope that voice repeats to you that thou art he. For me, this coming year, I plan on taking long walks in nature, a place I feel at home. As I walk, I will attune myself to the beauty that surrounds me. I will talk to the trees, I will talk to the elementals, and I will talk to my spirit guides, who are always with me. I will sit quietly and watch through the eyes of a panther, as life like a river constantly moves and changes. I will quiet myself and be in the present moment, seeking nothing in particular, and repeating to myself, I am one with the universe. Now, being in the present moment, in a prayerful mind, listen to these words as I close. Looking behind, I am gifted with gratitude. Looking forward, I am filled with vision. Looking upward, I am filled with strength. Looking within, I am filled with peace. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here today.